So guys, good morning. By the way, my name is Tinga, and the topic will be presented by me. I am Tinga, Ninyo Ganol, Kinit Kabangal, Junri Bulanta, and Mergel Torimoka. So here is the topic: Agrarian Reform and its role in the Philippine development. But first, let us first talk about the learning outcome for this discussion. So the number one outcome is this: define agrarian reform, familiarize with its brief history, and understand its role in the Philippine development. So let us talk about what is agrarian reform. But before that, let us tackle the subtopics in regards with the title. So, what is land reform? In 1988, the government passed the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, or CARP. The program was created to end unfair land ownership practices by dividing up the land and providing proper documentation to its rightful owners or agricultural reform beneficiaries. So land reform is imposed by the government to protect those person who has lack of knowledge when it comes in their land ownership. So the government passed this act to protect and to give the the expected land to the rightful owner. So they passed the law so that um, the rightful owner will be addressed that that land will be them directly. So next is what is agrarian? Agrarian means relating to the ownership and use of land, especially farmland, or relating to the part of society or economy that is concerned with agriculture. So ang agrarian is focus siya muli sa farmland nga sa una um, mo ang ginailugan sa una nga panahon kay wala pa justification or proper documentation kung kinsay naitag iya pero walay naka document nga nakapangalan. So mo na ang agrarian means na relating ownership and use of land, especially farmland. So next is what is agrarian reform? So here is agrarian reform is considered broader than land reform. So kung atong madumduman diri ang definition sa land reform is mo ni siya ang gi-impose sa government, gi-impose ni siya sa government para mahatag sa rightful owner ang land nga gina cultivate or buhatan ay ginatamnan sa tao without a documentation. So buhat ni sa government para mahatagan og documentation ang landowner to be exact na kailaha gid ang tawag ni ang land. So again, agrarian reform is considered broader than land reform. It is a rectification of the whole system of agriculture. When we say rectification, it is to set right or correct. It is to set the right or correct sa land sa the rightful owner. Muna siya ang main purpose po sa agrarian reform is to set right or correct sa rightful owner. So let's do next. Let us talk about the objectives of agrarian reform. So here is the economic objective of such reforms are to abolish inefficient production structures, exploit the efficiency of family farmers, increase agricultural production, improve capital formation, and increase demand for farms inputs and services that stimulate development in the agricultural reform. So the first objective is to abolish inefficient production. Is gusto nila wakasan ang inefficient production sa structures and exploit the efficiency of family farms or good. Ang objective is pakinabangan nila ang efficiency or ang efficiency or efficiency of family farms and increase agricultural production. And I think that would be all for me, and so let us listen to the next reporter. Next reporter, please.
Aspects of agrarian reform. There are six aspects of agrarian reform: economic, sociocultural, and religious, moral, legal, and political aspects. Economic aspect. In the Philippines, economy relies on agricultural and it is the most important component. Number one, increasing agricultural production and productivity. Number two, solving unemployment. Sociocultural aspect. Agrarian reform leads to self self-reliance, self-esteem, dignity, and improve the quality of life of the farmers. In the social sector, it also reduces the inequality in income, wealth, and change in life. Religious aspect. Based on the biblical teaching, God is the owner of the earth and He made it all for His children, especially the food. Moral aspect. Agrarian reform is established as means the needs for a just distribution of agricultural lands to landless farmers. Legal aspect. Based on the constitutional mandates, Article 2, Section 10 promote social justice in all phases of national development. Article 2, Section 21 promote comprehensive rural development and agrarian reform. Political aspect. Agrarian reform is a top priority of the government and almost every Philippine president.
The rules of agrarian reform in the Philippines development. Agrarian reform has helped to improve the socioeconomic conditions landless farmer and the Philippines political development by involving the landless policy making and distributing large private holdings to the landless. Agrarian reform how to alleviate unemployment and increase agriculture conditions and productions. Agrarian reform in the Philippines also helped in addressing the centuries-old problems of rural landlessness. Agrarian reform also product farmers and ensure their security of tenure, promote farmers' rights and welfare, help ensure food security. Conclusion. There is no doubt that agrarian reforms will continuously aims to provide less inconvenience from the farmers, landless farmers, promote social equity and justice, as well as strengthening food security and gradually elevating poverty in the three main islands of the Philippines. It is crucial in the Philippines development.
Good morning, ma'am. So, this topic is topic number 5. So, my assigned area is brief history of agrarian reform from different era. So, pre-Spanish period. This land is our God. Give this land to us. Before the Spaniards came to the Philippines, Filipinos lived in a village or barangays ruled by chief or datus. The datus comprised the nobility, then came the mahalikas, freemen, followed by the aliping mamahay, serf, and aliping sogigilit, slaves. However, despite the existence of different classes in the social structure, practically everyone had access to the fruits of the soil. Money was unknown and rice served as the medium of exchange. So, Spanish period. United withstand divided we fall. When the Spaniards came to the Philippines, the concept of encomienda, royal land grants, was introduced. This system grants that a comenderos must defend his encomienda from external attack, maintain peace and order within, and support the missionaries. In turn of encomendero acquired the right to collect tribute from the Indians or native. The system, however, degenerated into abuse of power by the encomenderos. The tribute soon became land rents to a few powerful landlords, and the natives who once cultivated the land and freedom were transformed into mere tenants. Japanese era. The era of Hukbalahap. The Second World War II started in Europe in 1939 and the Pacific in 1941. Hukbalahap controlled whole areas of Central Luzon. Landlords who supported the Japanese lost their lands to peasants, while those who supported the Hawk earned fixed rentals in favor of the tenants. Unfortunately, the end of war also signaled the end of gains acquired by the peasants. Upon the arrival of the Japanese in the Philippines in the 1942, peasants and worker organizations grew strength. Many peasants took up arms and identified themselves with the anti-Japanese group, the Hukbalahap, Hukbo ng Bayan Laban sa Hapon. Thank you for listening.
Good morning, Mom. Good morning, classmates. Here's the topic I discussed. Entitled The Father of Agrarian Reform, Diosdado Macapagal, Ferdinand Marcos Sr., and Corazon Aquino. Importance of Agrarian Reform. Diosdado Macapagal was considered the father of agrarian reform. It was during his term that the Agricultural Land Reform Code, or RE number 3844, was enacted on August 8, 1963. This was considered to be the most comprehensive piece of agrarian reform legislation ever enacted in the country that time. Kanida siya nga balaod, usa ka giordinahan sa agrikultura ug mga reforma ug nagpasiugda sa mga reforma sa yuta sa Pilipinas. Lakip na ang pagwagtang sa pag-abang ug pagpaagay sa kapital ngadto sa industriya. Naghatag sa gikinahanglan nga mga ahensya sa pagtuman ug tukma nga pundo alang niini ug alang sa uban nga katuyoan. Ferdinand Marcos Sr. enacted the following laws: Republic Act No. 6389, Code of Agrarian Reform, and RE No. 6390 of 1971, created the Department of Agrarian Reform and Agrarian Reform Code of 1963, ultimately amended in 1971. By the Marcos administration, because the Code of Agrarian Reform's 1971 Code sought to establish owner cultivatorship or cooperative cultivatorship among those who lived and worked on the land as tillers. On September 10, 1971, President Marcos signed the Code of Agrarian Reform for the Philippines into a law which is established the Department of Agrarian Reform, effectively replacing the Land of Authority in 1978. The DAR was renamed the Ministry on Agrarian Reform. It abolished tenancy and established a leasehold system in which farmers paid fixed rental to landlords rather than percentage of harvest. Kanida siya nga balaod ang Republic Act No. 6389, usa ka buhat aron mapadali ang programa sa reforma sa agraryo. Pinaagi sa paghimo og espesyal nga account sa reforma, agraryo nga gikinahanglan alang sa naghatag og pundo alang niini ug alang sa uban pang mga katuyuan. Ang Republic Act 6390 kini usab usa ka balaod nga may kalabutan sa mga reformang agraryo sa Pilipinas ug gilangkuban sa 39 ka mga seksyon. Kini mao ang pagkaon sa natukod nga kooperasyon or kooperatiba nga nagtikad og busa lain-lain nga taas nga kapital sa agrikultura hangtod sa industriyal nga kalambuan. Corazon Aquino. On June 10, 1988, former President Aquino signed into law Republic Act No. 6657 or otherwise known as the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law or the CARL. The law became effective on June 15, 1988. Corazon Aquino envisioned agrarian and land reform as the centerpiece of her administration's social legislative agenda. Kanido kuno nga balaod ang Republic Act 6657 nagtukod og usa ka komprehensitibong programa sa reforma sa agraryo aron sa pagpalambo sa hustisya sa katilingban ug industrialisasyon nga naghatag og mekanismo sa pagtuman niini ug alang sa uban pang mga katuyoan. And that's all. Thank you for listening.